back to Weebology. Thanks, y'all, for coming back to class. I am your dumbest Professor Ricky.
Yeah, bring it down a notch, guy.
Absolutely not.
Dude's over here screaming.
Screaming?
Yeah.
I'm clipping now.
And, I'm also a professor by the name of...
Really? You gave pause to...
I forgot my name. Anyway, continuing.
What Ethan was trying to get out is that this is Ethan, and I'm Ricky, and I realized that...
Wait, who's Ethan? Anyway, go ahead.
Who's Ethan? I was talking into my mic backwards as of last episode and part of this one. We here at the Weebology podcast love transparency.
We are clearly professionals.
We're clearly professionals at this.
You know what's nuts is it's actually easy to tell which way's the front because there's like a little blue light on it.
I know, but what it sucked, I was like, what's going on with this mic? And I see the word back facing me, and it all clicked like an epiphany.
Yeah, so like I noticed the audio. We actually did like 5 minutes of this episode already, and I saw the audio was like weird as hell. Like his was like basically non-existent. It was barely picking up, and then mine was like really loud. I'm like, I don't know, man.
Possible. We're at the same volume, man. Oh man, I'm gonna sit over here with my L. But Ethan, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about a great show. For the most part. Akame Ga Kill.
I would say this is a weird cult classic in the anime community because I have heard on forums and subreddits and everything of the like, people reference it all the time, and I just never watched it. It's just one of those things that passed me by.
It also passed me by. What year is it from, Ricky?
1982, actually. I believe this the cool summer of 1982. No, it came out summer of 2014.
Yes, and the joke is he said it was from 2005 when we had previously recorded
12, this. 17? It's in this decade? Not even that. But to preface this, I was watching this show very recently to rip it through it and get thoughts about it for this particular episode. And me and my buddy Nick, shout out to you, Nick, we were at a bar a while ago, and we were just chatting about anime, and we said Hunter x Hunter, and the bartender perked up, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I love that show." I'm like, "Whoa, okay, this is cool." A random anime fan in the wild, and I was like, "What other shows have you seen?" "Only really 3 or 4," he replies, "just the big ones." And then we bring up Akame Ga Kill to ourselves, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I also seen that one. It's really, really good." I'm like, "Whoa, wait." It's not ranked super high. It doesn't have a huge what would you say, audience appeal, like just wide reach. I don't know. Why is that on everyone's list? That's what I sought out the second half of watching it. Forum reads, community boards. Why is it as famous as it is? Do you have a guess? Why do you think it is?
I think it's because it's super generic.
Yes, I can agree with that.
But they just they heap on like edge and just like the harem. I think there's a lot of compelling things to the harem.
Yes.
This is actually the first harem ever that I was like fully vested in.
Ooh, you heard her first.
I was very disappointed.
I know.
Like I could not have been more disappointed from like episode 20 to 24.
Yeah, and it just did a nosedive in storytelling quality for me, but we'll definitely get to that. So just to preface this, there will be spoilers for Akame Ga Kill. In my opinion, hearing it before watching it, I don't think would detract from the enjoyment of the show. Would you agree? I don't know.
I agree, and like we're not gonna tell you exactly what happens or anything. It's just that, like for instance, the first episode is like a big twist, right?
Yes.
And so like knowing there's a twist, but us not telling you what it is isn't that helpful in terms of like spoiling it. So
right.
But essentially what this show is Tatsumi and his 2 little friends from like a broke village somewhere. They basically train in different martial arts. Like he's a swordsman essentially, and his friends are an archer, and I can't remember what the dude does.
Very classic high fantasy bullshit.
Yeah, and so basically their plan is to go to the big city, become heroes, get rich as hell, and filter all that money back home.
Who wouldn't want that life, you know? What go to the big city and get fucking rich. I don't know if I'd ship at home though, but yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I think if everyone you know is starving and dying,
that's
you
true.
might.
Yeah. So
and they also don't have running water.
They literally are.
It's like a little bit of a different situation.
Kind of sticks in mud. But yeah, Tatsumi goes with monetary aspirations of fame and fortune. And he's pretty strong. He's a pretty good swordsman even before like off the rip.
Yeah, he held his own a lot more than I expected him to in the beginning.
Yeah.
But anyways, he comes into kind of contact with this group called Night Raid. Which I had mentioned as one of my honorable mention favorite squads in anime. But essentially what Night Raid is this group of like wanted criminals.
Yes.
That are being like basically framed, quote unquote, by the government as like being terrorists. But we find out that the government is pretty fucked in its own right.
I would say they are still kind of terrorists. They just have a good morality set with them.
I mean, like, so if your own government is torturing, killing people, you can't, in my opinion, you're not a terrorist for being like a rebel. Like,
yeah, they're
like,
a rebel.
Are you
group,
saying that the rebels in Star Wars are terrorists?
To somebody,
exactly,
I don't know.
But,
to somebody, they're terrorists.
You're not the like as the viewer, you're not behind the government.
That's true. That's true. And Ethan pointed out a big aspect of this entire show. The government is really shitty. Like it's rotten from inside and out.
But there is one shining light within the government that we'll get to.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if we have the same opinion on who the shining light is, but we'll see. So, Tatsumi, let's talk about who's in Night Raid, because Night Raid, I do now that I've seen the show agree with you hardcore that Night Raid is one of my favorite groups I've ever seen. They have very, very good chemistry. The humor they have, the humor as a whole in the show is a little stale for me, but they have good chemistry. It feels organic. It feels cool.
I think there's some funny stuff. Like,
yeah, it's hit or miss.
But it's all related to Night Raid, like their interactions.
Yes.
But I mean, like, to be fair, the world that they're living in, like, really sucks.
It's really, really.
So it doesn't particularly surprise me that it's not, like, overwhelmingly a funny show.
Yes. They try to inject humor in most of the times in places that are good. Sometimes gotta let the edge do its thing. Don't cut through the edge with a humor knife. But who is your favorite Night Raid character that's not Tatsumi? I don't even know if Tatsumi would even make your top 3 list of who. Who's your favorite
probably not. I think. Well, I mean, they do a lot to like make you really like Akame.
Yeah, and the thing is, I actually didn't vibe too hard with her. She is endearing.
Well, it's because she's kind of like a blank wall.
She is a blank wall. She's just literally she's your stereotypical assassin.
I super loved Leone though.
Yeah, she's cool. She's like the
then,
debaucherous. She drinks like a fucking tank, which is awesome.
Because her like imperial arms is like regeneration, so she literally can't get drunk.
That liver is squeaky.
I liked the boss Nanjindo or whatever her name is.
Yeah,
Nanjindo.
She was cool. I felt like she at least had more character development than most others in the group did. I liked.
Well, no, I think it's kind of a situation like Seven Deadly Sins where they've already done their stuff.
Right,
and we're kind of coming into the end of the story almost.
Yeah,
for a lot of them.
I do want to get to the character development in a second, but I like Lubbock.
Lubbock,
or they call him Lubba in the dub.
Lubba dubba dub dub.
And I like his Imperial arms is super cool.
No, but he messaged me and was like, I can't believe Lubba, whatever. And I'm like, who the fuck is Lubba?
Who the fuck is Lubba?
Who the fuck is that?
But yeah, so that's the whole sub. They called him, what is it, Lubbock?
Lubbock, yeah.
Lubbock? Okay. That's a weird way to say it. But I liked him a lot. He's your stereotypical kind of perverted dude, and he's kind of the comedic relief a lot, and he was at least enjoyable to watch every time he was on screen. I liked him a lot. My least favorite might be mine.
I could not stand her.
She's like if you lifted a tsundere off of a dictionary page of what a tsundere is.
Well, like a loli tsundere, and like just like honestly a bitch.
She's kind of a bitch.
And then like for them to end up together, at least for a small period of time, was internally the most annoying thing that has ever happened in a show. I was like, you gotta be fucking joking me. I don't know if I mentioned it in this iteration of us recording it, but this was the first ever like harem that I got like personally vested in.
I have a theory about why. Actually, I was thinking about why is this the harem amongst all others that really got your goat? Like, this is the one that did it for you.
Well, I mean, it's because the person I wanted him to end up with was like obviously never gonna happen.
No, but here's my thought. But I think to do so, we need to address the elephant in the room about this show, and we will keep it as vague as possible to avoid as many spoilers as possible. But a lot of people die. Like, a lot of people die.
And by a lot of people, you mean literally everyone dies.
Literally everybody dies in this show. So
let me ask you this.
Yes.
Who do you actually think the main character is? I don't know. And I honestly, after having watched it, I don't know who the main character is.
I think it's Akame? Maybe? Is it Akame?
I think you have to think that, but we see it all through Tatsumi's eyes. So it's kind of like... It's weird to me. It's like one of the shows where I don't know who they actually want you to think is the main character. I think it might be Tatsumi because since he comes from the boonies, he has like no knowledge of what's going on.
Right.
And we also don't have any knowledge of what's going on. So I think there's a very good chance that that's what they're kind of like going for. Like he's the everyman sort of, and you're just kind of like viewing it through him.
I think there's a difference in this situation. I think especially with this particular harem going on right now, there's a difference between the main character and the center of attention plot wise. Tatsumi is definitely the center of attention. Everything revolves around him, but I don't know if that qualifies main characterness, you know?
Yeah.
Good example is Eri from my most recent My Hero Academia season. The entire thing revolves around her, but she isn't the main character.
Yeah, let's pause what we're talking about. Just talk about every other show we're watching right now.
Just now time for a cool Weeb update. No, but
So I'm watching Aruma-kun. I'm watching.
So the thing with why I think this harem clicks with you is because people are added to the harem as quickly as they're killed off. There isn't a growing bubble, right? Of just people always fawning. There seems to be one at a time. There's like Chelsea, is that her name? Chelsea, and then mine, and then this person, and then that person.
Well, Chelsea, she was like near the end.
Right, but I mean, she had a thing. She fell for Tatsumi in the end.
But like the two people, well, okay, so I think what they wanted you to want is they wanted you to want Akame to end up with him, right?
Yes.
And she was like giving him nothing other than like a it felt like more familial than anything.
Yes.
Like a deep friend type situation.
True. Yeah. You saying she didn't give anything to him is spot on, because it's just like, you are a blank slab. I know you're a weapon of death. I get it. But we need something out of you, girl. We need a little reaction. So who did you want? You wanted Akame at the end to end up with?
No. I said that's what they want everyone to want. I wanted him to end up with Esdeath.
Let's talk about Esdeath.
Because she is super hot.
She's just... Okay, so Esdeath is the main general of the kingdom's forces, the government's forces, and... she has an Imperial arms, which we will talk about at length there in a second, but Imperial arms are kind of mystic, magical weapons of insane power that were created at the advent of this kingdom's foundation and was used by the first emperor to basically win his power and his rule.
No, I think he actually built them after he realized like he was going to die.
Oh,
and
I think you're right.
So he built them to keep his kingdom like strong throughout history. I think was the idea. I obviously watched it maybe like last summer, so maybe that's slightly off. But the idea essentially was he knew he wasn't going to be able to stay around, so he had all of his scientists come up with these like basically they call them Imperial arms, but it was like there's a number of them, like 49.
There's 48, and they say 24 was lost to time.
So very cool.
That is so. Yeah. So that's the thing. If they wanted to continue this story, it could be potentially continued and those other 24 explored. Which I know you've always been a fan of, like when you have a set of something and you don't get the full set.
What I was obviously I was super hoping they would just go out to discover or find or
That would have been cool.
Pick up more of them.
Yes.
Because there was a lot of so basically there's this resistance and there's the government, and what we're basically able to see is both sides.
Yes.
And basically, sometimes when the resistance will lose an Imperial arms in a battle. Oh, we should talk about when two Imperial arms fight.
Yes.
But the government would then take it in and start trying to apply it to a new basically soldier.
Yes.
But the resistance, they would consistently go find them.
Yes, they would do the archaeological work to get them.
And then somehow then they would place them within Night Raid, essentially, is what was going on.
So just that surface knowledge about Imperial Arms for now is important to know, because Esdeath's Imperial Arms is actually the blood of a demon that lived, that one's in a very cold, icy region. So she, drinking this blood that any other that tried, went literally insane with malice and anger and violence internally. They were hearing voices, and not just one, a whole crowd. She was already kind of nutso batshit anyway, because she was raised in a danger beast killing society, which are these magical, I would say magical creatures, right?
Yeah, so
is it nomadic tribe that
definitely, and they were you haven't watched Golden Kamuy, but they were that winter kind of Inuit looking tribe, I think, is kind of the idea.
Little Eskimo folk, essentially,
exactly.
but blood-hungry Eskimo
well,
people.
So the way they explain it is that area of the globe or whatever is highly contested, and there's constantly shit going on. So to me, her story and character development made sense why she would be the way that she was.
Yeah.
So basically, her dad was if you die in battle, you're weak.
And
essentially,
there will be we were sad the same way that I think her mother was killed, and it's yes, we will grieve, but that's just how shit goes. And she grew up believing oh, that's just how shit goes. So she was already very battle seasoned and kind of desensitized to the horrors of just hunting, being prey and predator situation. So she was a little intense on the battlefield.
Yeah, so the way they set it up is there's three main generals for the government. There's this dude that we barely see. He's the big electric dude.
Yes.
I can't remember his name.
I totally forgot.
There was Esdeath, and then there was Nanjino.
Nanjino, yes.
And so Nanjino realizes the government sucks, defects to the resistance, and becomes the boss leader of Night Raid.
Did she start Night Raid, or did she defect to an already existent Night Raid?
Don't know.
I think she may have started it. Don't quote me on that. Don't quote him on that. It's total ambiguity over here. God, we do this for a living.
Not really.
A living is a passion's a living. A passion's a living. But
your 9 to 5 might make you a living, but your 5 to 9 makes you alive.
Yo, that was deep. That's scripture. I'm gonna get that tattooed right here.
I think that's
right above the nipple.
Pat Flynn SPI podcast.
Perfect.
Smart passive income. Anywho,
but Esdeath was already war hungry. She grew up around it, so she felt comfortable in it. And then she kind of I don't know where she got a taste for torture later on. Did she already have that, or did the blood do that to her?
No, she did. She didn't get the blood till the very end of the show.
Well, we saw her get the blood. Well, we saw the flashback of her getting the blood at the end of the show. But I can't tell if she gained a little a taste for torture, the manicness.
No, I don't think so.
But what it granted her was basically stupid ice abilities. Summoning ice meteors style. She summoned massive rocks.
Yeah. So basically the show makes her unbeatable. And I think they did a very good job in that. I think it was not even basically they were scared of her. Night Raid was scared of her the entire show, and they would constantly say if she's in the area, bail, essentially.
Yes.
And so when you started seeing her powers, you're okay, yeah, totally makes sense.
Right.
She is unbelievable, and she's sadistic in a lot of ways. Let's absolutely stay away. And so there's a lot of scenes in which our main character, as we're kind of calling him, Tatsumi,
yes,
is basically accidentally ends up in her
clutches.
Yeah, definitely her clutches. And you are like the tension in those moments is like unbelievable.
Those are really good because she's already, what you said was great. It's a looming threat. She's just this constant looming threat while they do gain ground as an assassination rebel group. But she's still always there.
Well, because there's a portion at least when she is summoned to the Northern Kingdom or whatever to put down some rebellion.
Yes.
And at that point, everyone's like, "Oh shit! Finally, we can kind of like do some more night raid shit."
Night raid shit. So
then she like puts it down, and they're like, "Oh, we got tons of time." She puts down the insurgency like instantly, and they're like, "Shit!" She comes back in like 2 weeks, and
abandoned thread.
Yeah, and she like Night Raid has left the chat.
Night Raid has left the chat. Oh god, oh fuck.
And then she like starts her own version of Night Raid essentially to battle them, which I really loved that concept.
I think as a group, Night Raid is good. I like the Jaegers more. I really like the Jaegers.
What the
Sorry, they was just weird. They were even weirder than Night Raid ever was. I think
they were weird. I think the only one that's cool in that fucking group was Wave.
I liked Wave because he had a similar journey that Tatsumi did. He just needed to be took a lot longer for him to do that because he was also some bumpkin from not the city. But who was the fire guy? I liked him.
Bolin or whatever.
I liked him. I liked him a lot. He's so the Jaegers is their counterparts. They all have Imperial arms as well. This man is this super crazy, beefy, like 7-foot dude with like a terrifying mask on his face. And I mean,
he was definitely endearing. I agree with you.
But the thing is, he's this sweetheart, a family man. He's got a normal wife and like a normal daughter, and he's just like this super cheeseball. And I loved him a lot. I think who was the
but I did like how he was basically his name's Bowles. He was essentially he would be like super nice to everyone, and then everyone's like, why are people afraid of you, and like why are people treating you bad? And he'd be like, don't think I'm a good guy. Like,
yeah,
I've done some really fucked shit.
He was the most human,
right?
Like,
like
yeah,
so absolutely.
He's like, I've literally burned countless people for this government, and the reason why I love my family so much is because despite all that, they love me anyway. And I think I love how they're like, we have like a don't ask, don't tell policy. How was work, Papa? Oh, no big deal. Just killed 150 people with fire. No, how was your day? Sweet, I drew a little thing. It's going on the fridge, sweetie.
Yeah.
It's a weird dichotomy. I liked his character for that. But
I did too.
There were times maybe that was a little harsh. Maybe saying Jaegers were better than Night Raid. I found some scenes where they interacted more interesting than the Night Raid counterpart, which I think speaks to having two sets.
Yeah, but I do think there was only one person in Night Raid I didn't like.
Okay, who was that?
Mine.
Okay. Yeah. I think I just didn't like mine because of the shoehorned thing.
That was such horseshit.
That was like that went from what was it, like 6 episodes from full on tsundere bullshit to you're literally my love. Oh my god.
So basically, I don't even remember who it was, but it was like some priest up in the mountains they just ran into, and he's like, "Oh, you guys are in love."
That was it. Yeah.
And then they started thinking about it, and this was like 19 episodes in.
It was like 18 or 19 where there's just like,
right,
you guys seem like you're meant to be together.
But like, okay, but the whole show, every girl in Night Raid is basically saying, I'm gonna marry you, Tatsumi.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't understand how that didn't work on him. Like, Leone is way doper.
Oh yeah, and
hotter and everything about it. And
everything
so it's like,
about her is better.
What's going on? She's cooler, funnier. Like, she literally brings him into Night Raid.
Yeah.
She saves his life when Akame is gonna kill him.
Exactly.
Akame is freaking dope.
Yeah.
Even if she's like a little bit.
So why mine? Why?
Right.
Why her?
It made no sense. And then there's no way around it. But like everyone dies. We said that
everyone
already.
Dies.
And like the like even the main character dies, and we're like, I don't know. To me, so this was like the last episode. I was just like felt like the whole show was useless.
You felt robbed, didn't you?
I was like, what's the fucking point?
Super robbed, and
literally everyone dies except for Akame.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, there's no way around it.
She was supposed to die. Like her ability, basically her blade is able to basically
stack power for everyone.
Stack power of everyone that she kills, and then it like curses her type situation. So she's supposed to be dead.
she is supposed to be dead.
And doesn't. And it's like, okay, at least if you're going to kill everyone, kill everyone.
Yeah, go full hog.
You know what I mean?
Don't half-ass it. Give me the death of everybody in the end. I think that honestly would have been, maybe have the boss still alive, just to be the one looking over like, we did it. We did it. And that's it. But the thing is, even with all the death, the edge felt weird. It felt weird, right? Like, it didn't feel necessarily bad, but the edge felt forced.
Did you notice something about Najino?
No. Wait, what? Tell me.
She looks exactly like our guy from Arifureta.
Hajime? Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Missing an eyeball, missing an arm.
I didn't even think about that.
And wears a suit looking thing.
And smokes these black cigs, which that kind of
gotta believe it pretty much rips.
it pretty rips. But no, it was the edge felt weird. So for those of you who don't really wonder what the fuck is edge is just using gore, violence, shock imagery to be a selling point of plot, character development, anything. An edgy character can be really, really shittily applied, like our boy Hajime from Arifureta, whose edge just was so ham-fisted and caked on. This felt more well-equipped. Do you think that, all the blood and the gore, did it work for this show? Could they have done without it? Would it have worked without it?
So they very clearly early on basically say, if you're in Night Raid, don't get attached to anyone because everyone's going to die.
Yeah.
And so they did set you up for that early.
Yes.
And then we also proceeded to watch like 4 of them die basically instantly in the first couple of episodes.
Yeah, we did.
So, like, it was not unexpected. I think every time they died, it still hurt, at least the viewer. I'm like, damn. I'm like, bro.
I think it did for the first few times.
Bro, no. And like, I also thought it was a little whack how some of them died because they have these Imperial arms. They're supposed to be great soldiers and stuff like that, right?
Right.
And then, Shield, the girl with the scissors, dies like instantly from something stupid. And I'm like, ah.
And here's the thing too, like, the first few times it hit hard, and I'm like, okay, this isn't your daddy shonen. This is something new. However, I started to notice a pattern that this show had a tell.
Yeah.
They seemed to show the past of any character, like either earlier in the episode or like just at the end of the last episode, right before they die. And when I picked it up, I can say like, oh, they're dying, they're dying, and it's like, okay, cool. Next episode, this person's dead. And
I was just pretty sure anyone that was gonna die if they came into contact with the Jaegers. So basically, we didn't say this, but Imperial arms. There's this saying that if 2 of them fight each other, like basically 2 Imperial arms users fight, one of them has to die 100% of the time.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if that was like a mandate, like a code of battle conduct, or that's just like because of the insanity of Imperial arms.
I think it was because of the insanity of Imperial arms, but it also, they delivered 100% on that.
They did, yeah. Track record. Perfect.
Right, so like to me, you can say that, but like it was 100%. So like even if it was just like some kind of battlefield conduct, it worked. So yeah, whatever.
So the Imperial arms, we touched on earlier. These weapons are batshit insane. We talked about them in our favorite weapons video, and
did we?
Yeah, you brought it up. Yes, because the Imperial arms was something we brought up. I think maybe an honorable mention or something, but.
I don't think so, folks, but I'll go back and I'll re-listen to our episode.
Play it back, baby. No, so some of these are incredible, but I had a slight issue with the trump cards. Some of those felt like ass pulls. There was no setup at all for the trump cards. They just started to have trump cards, right? How do you feel about that kind of thing in a show where they just have like Deus Ex Machinas and just kind of, haha, it's my trump card now, and then they also suddenly have trump cards?
I mean, they seemed fair. I don't know. I didn't hate it. I thought it made sense for this show, and I think they set it up as like Imperial arms are fucking crazy.
You know what?
And so it wasn't surprising. The problem is some of them were just way more overpowered than others.
Yes, and I do take that back slightly because technically I would say the invisibility on Incursio would be part of a trump card concept, like a special ability, even on top of its special ability. But yeah, what would you say is your favorite Imperial arms? And that's a rough one because they're wacky and they're very, very out there. There seems to be no system either, right?
Yeah,
Is it magic?
not really.
Is it science? Is it both? Who knows?
Kind of
Who really
seems like
cares?
some kind of both.
Sciencey.
I think it's hard to not say Susanoo because he
He's so
is
cool.
like kind of an AI type situation where he's in Imperial Arms, but he's also like a member of Night Raid.
Yes, he's and they call him organic based Imperial arms. He is essentially a badass housemaid.
Right.
Yeah.
And Najino basically picks that up later. So apparently, I was just rereading to like refigure out the show essentially. But
Yeah, right.
mine's Pumpkin, which is this basically massive gun
I
that.
fucking love pumpkin.
Yeah, so do I. When you're like in more danger, it does more damage essentially.
Yeah.
That was Nanjindo's weapon until she lost her arm.
So what's the strat with pumpkin? Do you put yourself in intentionally dangerous situations, like rile the enemy up to
You
get
either
them?
snipe somebody and kill someone before anything happens, or you put yourself in crazy danger, I think.
Right, and I think you have to get like basically taunt your enemy into making them go into final form, and then it's like, haha, fuck you.
Goodbye.
Okay, because that thing it'll go from like one shot to essentially death laser.
Right.
Like,
So
death
like it's
laser.
pretty cool though because it can be like a machine gun or a sniper rifle or death laser,
Death laser.
depending on what your situation is. So I did like that. The scissors were interesting, but overall relatively unuseful.
Yeah, they could cut through anything. Whoa.
And block anything.
Whoa. It's crazy.
And she dies. So
And
I'm
she
like,
dies. So
okay.
guess it's not that good.
The one I liked, Ubiquitous, the like crazy bitch from the other team, the Jaegers.
Yeah.
Her like little bear guy.
Oh yeah.
He was sick.
So the bear, a little dog thing, it was like a dog,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it can eat anything, and it like she's got a metal arm, right? Because she went through some crazy. Was it Dr. Style? Was the guy's name?
Yeah.
He's Dr. Style is also on the Jaeger team, and he is this super sadist, like insane scientist, and did work on her arm or just her body. So she has a bunch of body mods.
She almost died in a fight with mine and Shiel.
Okay,
She kills Shiel.
that's it.
Shell, I think, is actually what they were
Shell,
calling her.
yeah.
But her name is Sheele, so hard for me to call her Shell. Anyway, so she almost dies. Dr. Stylish comes over and
Dr.
gives her all these like basically attachments for her broken arms that her little doggy guy carries around in his mouth.
Paid DLC.
Right. It was just
essentially.
really cool. I thought that was cool. I hated that character, but I thought it was cool.
She was interesting because she was really insane, and not like in like a fun way, like as death or anything. But she was like, she was really, really crazy, and
Right.
She lost her parents to violence and war, right, something like that, and she's got a real sick and twisted version of justice. Like,
Yeah. Well, like essentially, some guy who was an asshole.
as you do.
Captain like takes her in and starts teaching her stuff, so she has this like weird like idolization for this guy,
True.
and then they go and assassinate him, and so basically they're like sworn enemies after that. And so like I don't blame her for being mad. What I don't, and like this happens throughout history, so it's not that surprising, I guess, but it's hard for me to understand how people in these situations where your government is asking you to do ridiculous, insane shit,
Yeah, but
how you cannot think that, maybe they're not doing the right thing.
I couldn't tell if it's an indoctrination thing.
Well, it's
or...
the same thing that happened like with Germany and stuff like this, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like it's a human thing that happens, unfortunately, but it's like, for Nanjindo to finally realize it, for Esdeath not to, that makes sense because Esdeath is like literally a little bit bonkers.
In the
But for
best
people
way,
like,
though.
Wave
Yes,
took him
Wave's a-
forever to figure it out.
but he did, and
Bulls, he
Bulls.
knows what he's doing is wrong, and he still stays. It makes
Yeah.
no sense.
So I think it's cool. This show does do a good job. I don't think they develop a lot of the characters in a way that I would like. Well, not enough, I think, because it didn't really. You do feel the deaths, all these deaths, but I feel like they could have hit harder if they took a little bit more time to. Don't just slap a backstory or a flashback and then kill them off. Let that fester a little bit. But I do like the characters all kind of trying to understand or wrap their mind around, is the government just? And when you make your decision, what do you do? Do you stay? Do you leave? Do you rebel? Do you fall in line? I liked Run for that reason. He had a very interesting take. They're just taking down from the inside, essentially.
Take them from the inside. I don't even recall Run very much. He's the angel guy.
Yeah, he's doing the wings. Those are pretty cool.
They were cool. I didn't quite understand what he was doing. He was very bad at explaining his goals.
That was funny. He didn't explain anything well, but he talked like he was smarter than anyone else in the room.
Yeah, and I'm like, then explain it.
Yeah, you're
you
smart.
asshole.
Asshole. No, but I liked my favorite Imperial armors has to be the strings. The strings were super cool.
It is really sick.
So, Lubba, as I'm going to call him, basically had these, kind of like picks on his fingers where he would feed, like, uncuttable string from the spool on his back. And then he could do anything he wanted with it. My favorite application is when he can make a spear out of it, and if he punctures you, he literally has the string snake into your bloodstream and go to your heart and just crush it from the inside. That was rad. That was some solid edge.
Rad.
Solid
My
edge.
issue,
Yeah.
it seemed like there was a limited amount of the string.
He does seem that. Did he have to, do you think he had to, like, after a fight, he just kind of walks around and just kind of like.
That's what it seems like.
He just had to spool it back up.
And so I'm like, what?
It seemed like he had more control than that, though, which was nice. There was one scene where he set him up everywhere, and I think it had the Spider-Man web fallacy where they seemed to be attached to nothing. Like, they're just going into the sky indefinitely and seemed to be strapped to nothing.
Yeah, so you see that in the first episode, actually, as well.
Yeah.
But, well, the way they explain it in Spider-Man or something like that, I think they say, like, he can attach it to clouds, which is fucking dumb.
So fucking stupid.
But, yeah, anyway, I liked Akame and Kurame, their whole situation, and basically, Tatsumi basically tells Akame at one point that, like, she is handling it so well, and he's so surprised and all this stuff.
Right.
And she just, like, breaks down. And he's like, shit.
Yeah, it's like, you are such a badass, stone cold face.
Yeah, and then
weeping in the corner.
She's like starts crying because, like, the whole reason she's doing this is basically she has to kill her sister as, like, the final boss for her.
Yeah, and her sister doesn't have a long time anyway. There's worth going into if you watch the show.
But, like, their two Imperial arms are very cool.
Yes, one is a sword that allows it's cut down to resurrect their corpse as puppets, and the other one kind of remembers all of the emotional energy and kind of stacks power within it. So if you
But it's cursed. I think if you get touched at all, you die.
Yes, yeah. So essentially, if you get nicked by it.
There was something like you had to be an asshole and they would, like, kill you. There was literally some, like, weird trigger where.
Oh, was it like a Nimbus from Dragon Ball? Pure hearts only get to ride it.
I really think it was similar.
Okay, so it's the opposite. If you have a pure heart, you won't get killed. Okay, you know what? Well, that no one didn't get killed, right?
Yeah, everyone died. So, like, that's the other thing is, like, there's not really any good people in the government forces other than, like, Wave.
I would argue there weren't too many good people by either action or philosophy, because good philosophy on the Night Raid side still killing motherfuckers out here, though. That's the thing.
Which they do like tell Tatsumi instantly, like, we are not good people, and if you stay here, you're probably gonna die. So, like, I did very, very, very much enjoy that setup, right? So, like, being able to be self-aware of your actions is a very interesting situation for anime, because a lot of times people are always like, I'm always right, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, even in, like, situations where there's two, like, warring parties in real life, generally both sides think they're right?
Exactly.
And so, like, having them say, look, we're not doing good things, but we are trying to do them for a good reason, we think.
A lot of shonens don't come out, and I think it's one of the reasons, like you said, it's kind of isn't your typical shonens, because that's a disclaimer up front. It's like, dude, this isn't fun work. This isn't your power of friendship bullshit. This is some serious.
A little bit of wet work.
We're gonna kill somebody today. But I think at the end of the day, does this show have a leg to stand on as a standout shonen if it didn't have the edge? If it didn't have this mature overtone, kind of at times out of its way to be bloody. a little bit not organically bloody. Just very.
The reason I started hating the show was, so basically through 19 episodes, I think I had like close to a 93 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then after that, it dropped like sub 60s for me.
Wow. See, I would have given it.
I think this is one of the worst, absolute worst endings of all time.
Interesting. I don't know if it's one of the worst. It didn't feel
You
like
don't want everyone that you tried to care about die.
It didn't feel like a hard, like, tailspin. It did feel like a fizzle. Nothing hit.
I think it tailspun because they started throwing in the relationships aspect at the very end.
You're right. Well, yeah, because
the whole time everyone was like all into him, and Ezeth was the only one that was being very obvious, and like Leone was joking but saying it
obvious. She literally put a collar on that boy and leashed his ass. You're mine now. I drug him into her bedroom. It's fucking rad. But yeah,
I'm just saying there was no real romance aspect the entire show, and then they just start like shoehorning it in, and there's literally one episode of like we're in love, and then that person dies, and then basically he's like, oh, I can't love anymore, and it's like you basically loved for an hour, and then like just like I don't know, it felt like a weird like devolution of like all this shit going on.
The timeline in the show is weird, right? Because there are times when like an entire month would pass between an episode, and then there's another one to be like literally the next part, like the same day.
Yeah, it is pretty tough.
How much time passes from when Tatsumi shows up in the city to
I think a lot.
Yeah, I think it was like a couple years, right?
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, there was times where it's just like, oh, it's been like 6 months. Haha, cool. Or like 2 weeks when Ezeth would just leave, and it's like, oh shit, she was supposed to be gone for months, and she was gone for 2 weeks. So there's another 2 weeks, so maybe a year. Let's round it off to a cool year.
I'm okay with a year,
okay.
Not multi-year.
So it can get confusing about how long these people may have been, festering feelings for each other. I don't know.
No, I don't agree.
No? What do you mean no? Just
look, nothing is happening unless we're seeing it happen. In my opinion, I think it's
shit happens. Like
they were literally assholes to each other until we saw it in episod 19, where those two douchebags in the mountains are like, "You guys like each other, right?"
This must be the red string of fate.
And it's like, what the?
Stop invoking this, please. We don't need more of this harem.
It was just so dumb. And then I don't know. I just felt like the ending sucked because like they were shoehorning in all these romance, and then like there is. Like in war, there's no real like resolution, I guess. But this was like even less of a resolution. Like King Kid kills half of his own people.
Right. Some of the big deaths though didn't hit like I thought they would.
Well, it's because you put like 8 in one fucking episode. That's
the thing, right? Because I was
gonna gave them no time.
None of it felt weighty. It was weird, and I think the first couple felt weighty because that's not what I necessarily expected to go in. I thought that this group was going to be together forever, and then by like episode 3 or 4, gone, right?
Yeah, but the other thing is you don't get to see the rest of the team's reactions to their death.
Yes.
If everyone just dies off in their weird spots, like...
Which they did at the end, right?
Yeah.
There weren't even enough people around to emotionally appreciate this moment. For me, at least.
Yeah, or like the sacrifices. You never see anything from like the actual people either. Like saying like, wow, thank you.
Yeah,
you know
Tatsumi's
what I mean?
pissed me off in that exact regard.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck that.
He like saves everyone's fucking life and then just like, bye.
And the thing is, he didn't, you know what's funny? He didn't necessarily have to die the way he did.
Of course not.
He did the deed. He stopped one of the final baddies, and then literally the final baddie was falling over towards a small crowd of maybe a couple dozen people. Casual loss. But he died trying to save them, which I guess is supposed to be like, oh, he fought for the people. That's important.
Yeah, here's my problem.
I get it logically. It didn't hit the heart.
Here's what I think they should have done.
Yes.
The thing is falling
on
Tatsumi.
Okay.
Ezeth comes over and obviously saves him. She wasn't dead yet.
Why didn't she do anything about it? She could make literal ice mountains. Why didn't she just prop that bitch up like a kickstand?
And what they needed to do is they needed to have Tatsumi start giving into this thing with Ezeth and actually try to turn her, because
Right.
he would just like say offhanded shit saying like, well, maybe you're fighting on the wrong side, and she'd be like, no, and he'd be like, okay then.
Okay. Guess I'm gonna kill you,
You
next
know what
time.
I mean? It's like, if he actually tried and he's like, look, if you really, really love me, try this. I really think she slowly could have been pulled to the other side.
That's what bummed me out a little bit about Esdeath. Everything else about her character was fun. She's clearly one of the most popular in the show. I looked at some character polls, and she like way outweighs everybody else.
Agreed.
But what they made her be was just evil to her core. She already had good character development. She had this very natural selection, survival of the fittest game going on, and there could have been any number of directions to give her some kind of turn. But Tatsumi gives up because he's just like, oh, she's just bad to the core. That's it. There's no change in this. And it would have been way more enjoyable. And maybe her death actually wouldn't have, felt dumb.
Right.
If
like
that felt pretty dumb.
Like the way they set it up, I guess she had to die. But I don't know. Obviously she was very, very bad person. But also I felt like she was redeemable.
Yes. Yeah.
Even though she was like basically freezing entire like countries, it's like she's just misguided. She's a missile. You have to guide her.
Right.
And so for me, that's kind of like where I was really struggling with the whole plot is like, I think you can fix this. You just got to not be dum-dums.
There's something here for her.
Okay, so I'm on Mal right now. And
Yeah,
I would like you to tell me who you think the top 5 liked characters are.
Really? There's a rank. I didn't look. That's not the ranking I looked at. So top 5. I'd have to say, I would say Esdeath, Tatsumi, Leon, unfortunately mine, and Wave. Like any of those, right? Hit me with the top 5.
You did not. There was some that you were right, but wrong placement.
Okay.
Number 1, most liked, Akame.
Oh, duh. That's on me. That's on me.
Yeah,
She's
that
in the
was bad.
fucking title.
Number
Shosky,
2,
what are you doing?
Esdeath.
Okay, that makes sense. I think that should have been switched. Esdeath is way cooler than Akame.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Najino, not even on the list, but mine, number 3.
I fucking
Folks,
knew it.
you're assholes.
Yeah.
That's the baddest answer.
That one made me pucker.
Bad.
That sucked.
Absolutely disagree with everything that just was said.
God. All right.
Number 4, Tatsumi.
That makes a lot of sense to me. But
Which is okay because he's the main fucking character.
He's the main fucking character, but he's also.
And then who is number 5?
Who's number 5? Leon?
Lubbock.
I can see it too.
And he just
They did my girl dirty. They did Leon's dirty.
narrowly edged out Leon by like 100 likes.
Oh, damn.
And then right after Leone is Chelsea. And I'm like, she was only in the show for 4 episodes.
I actually didn't like her character because
I didn't hate her.
Oh, I didn't hate her, but she was just like, haha, I'm a girl. That was her entire character.
I think her character was, you guys are assassins. You need to act like assassins and realize people are going to die.
Yeah.
She was much more of a like callous, like kind of reality check, in my opinion, to kind of their like this weird little like love group they had going on.
And again,
she kept being asshole, but I think it was all like
she kept being asshole.
Being asshole.
Yes, but she felt phoned in to me. She felt phoned in. Because she kind of popped in, and I like her act like fucking assassins. This isn't playtime.
I do think she had the weakest Imperial arms by a long shot.
I think for reconnaissance, it's probably the best.
I agree, but she's an assassin.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I'm a girl. My Imperial arms is makeup. Fuck you. Like,
yeah, I guess
you could you could do anything else as a disguise. Make it a ring.
Bad,
yeah, but I actually like Susanoo.
Yeah, he's dope.
Susanoo as a character was really endearing because he's also this like really type A perfectionist. And he catches like Tatsumi with his fly down after a really big speech. Could be one of the funniest motherfuckers in the entire show. He just gives this rousing speech, and then Susanoo has this super intense look in his face and says, "Tatsumi, your fly was down the whole time. I didn't want to say anything, but I have to say something. It's down." It's like, dude, you should have told me. You should have told me, dude. Yeah.
So I actually did some research into like Japanese gods and stuff like that.
It's like God of Thunder, right?
He is basically the god of storm.
Hell yeah.
He also is called like the Wanderer. So basically, him and Amaterasu are siblings,
Oh yeah.
and they end up fighting. Amaterasu starts killing a shitload of gods and stuff because he's like the
Rage.
least loved
Oh, okay.
between the gods.
Interesting.
Or at least they're basically Amaterasu's son. There's one for Tsukuyomi, actually, is Moon.
Nice. Yeah.
And they like are in love with each other. Some shit goes down. Tsukuyomi kills someone, like a different
Right.
god, which looks bad on them. So they can't. Basically, she says we're never gonna occupy the same space ever again. That's why sun is in the day and moon is at night.
Yes.
Very cool way to explain that. But then Susanoo and Amaterasu fight a bunch, and he gets his godliness taken from him and wanders the world. Basically,
Interesting.
he during his fight with Amaterasu was just killing humans for fun, essentially, like destroying their lands and stuff like that, like basically swamping their fields and stuff. And so
that's super cool. Like,
right. So they basically they make him become a human sort of, and like go basically help humans and like get like some kind of feelings for them.
Wow.
In order to regain his godly power.
And that's part of Susanoo's power is that the Imperial Arms user that is like his commander can 3 times, I guess 3 would kill lesser men, but it didn't kill the boss, but would give
she was about to die.
She was about to die. You can give part of your life force essence and he would go straight up god mode, like badass fucking god mode. But that's a good, you know what? That's just a weeb thing. That's just weebology lesson right there. Doing a little research into the lore of the culture that these shows come from could give a lot more credence. Like American shows, there's like, you know, American lore and stuff that we kind of just know instinctually. So if you use that in writing, or Americans are like, oh yeah, it's this thing. We have a folk tale about this. We have this about that.
Freaking Paul Bunyan.
Yes, like one of the big ones too is. In a lot of Japanese folklore, they have like a tale about the white rabbit in the moon. Isn't that they believe that there's like a shape, like, you know, we say man on the moon, or there's a moon's made out of cheese, and that's bullshit. But they actually have stories about. I thought it was a big old ball of Swiss in the sky.
Cheese. If you've ever seen Wallace and Gromit,
yes,
I urge you to reconsider laughing because that was hilarious.
But no, they have a folklore that there's a white rabbit in the moon, and there's a lot of references to rabbits being involved with the moon, like. Not to harp on Naruto, but final Kage, she's kind of like a rabbit beast looking thing. And and the enemies in, weirdly enough, Super Mario Odyssey are all bunnies from the moon.
Yeah, I would like to do an episode or potentially just a YouTube video about like mythology in Naruto, like how it kind of all makes sense, because
if you want to hear that,
Sasuke's sword is called Kusanagi, which is like grass cutting sword.
That shit's
happens to be the sword that Susanoo uses to kill Orochi, which is like this big dragon. That is threatening humans.
Like a snake demon Hydra thing.
Yeah.
This guy over here. But yeah, if you want to hear that episode, this is a great tangent, but mythology in Naruto has actually been a very closely tied concepts, and they do a really good job of using the power set and move names and weapon names to exemplify the things they come from in Japanese lore. So hit us up on Instagram if you want us to do that episode. But back to Akame Ga Kill. Final thoughts. I think
what do you think it was rated?
I think it was rated?
Yeah.
Like on Mal or just
Mal.
7.3. I think it was like a 7.3.
It was a 7.7.
Okay,
and 618,000 people rated it.
That's the number that always gets me. Is that it's such a high number of people that have seen this show.
Right.
And I think it maybe for the time it's like, oh, we have a show where everybody dies. There is some kind of pull there, and it's now just kind of like it's part meme, part required reading.
So to put it into perspective, Attack on Titan has 1.2 million reviews.
Interesting. But that makes a lot more sense.
But I would say, like, being even half as popular as Attack on Titan is unbelievable.
That seems like weirdly disparate. But if on my personal rating, up until about episode 19 or 20, I would give it probably like a 86 out of 100 cursed swords. And then it drops down to probably like where you're saying like 66, 67 out of 100 cat paws, Leon paws.
Her power was cool. I really liked her Imperial Arms
She was
too.
just a fucking brawler. Was it a belt? Was it a belt buckle?
Yeah,
No? Okay. Yeah.
I do want to say that I think her shit was bullshit. Her death.
That was bullshit.
My Imperial Arms trump card is I can destroy other ones. Blow me.
Fucking blow me, dude. And she still beat his ass. After
which was dope.
6 or 7 gunshots to the gut, she's like, fuck you, dude. I'm from the streets.
She said, ever heard of 50 Cent?
You ever heard of it, dude? Oh, man.
Yeah, but like I said, I think I had it in the like hard 90s and then dropped to like 65 near the end. So I don't know how to like do ratings like that.
You kind of just like mash it all together. I think,
but I mean, I'll just tell you, I think within the first 19 episodes, it was easily a 90 out of 100, and then it became a 65.
Yeah,
near the end.
Totally agree. The whole time I was thinking, hey, this edge doesn't actually hit the ear wrong. Like, it's actually not bad. This show does.
It was surprising.
Yeah,
because
this show
they
does
throw
edge.
A lot of it on there.
And it does edge in a very good way, in a way that feels linked into, for the most part, linked to the lore and the world building and all that stuff. So if you're into the mature fight, blood, gore, shit like that, it's not a bad show to go watch. We warned you about the ending, so what are you gonna do? I don't know what else to tell you, but I think that's really it. That's it. Thank you, y'all, for listening. You want to check us out? Thank you for YouTube gang. Check us out on YouTube. We have a video for most episodes if we can force it. Check us out on Spotify, on Apple, on Google, on Stitcher, and many more.
Indeed.
And, Instagram.
You can also email us at weebologypodcast@gmail.com.
Yes.
Please do not forget to leave a like, a comment, and a subscribe on our video on YouTube. As well as, if you can, please leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
He has night terrors, and all he screams are 5-star reviews. Just 5 stars. Help.
And like, if you can use words and stuff too, you know what I mean? Like, leave us like a legit review.
Hit us up on Instagram. We got memes on memes.
I'm just saying, next episode, I'm gonna be shouting out all the people who have left us a review. So, yeah,
that's a cool play.
I would like you guys to please do that.
Get yourself a shout out.
Yeah,
why not? But I think that's it.
And make sure to check out our last episode was with the Anime Compost guys.
Yes.
And
please go check out
that
those.
Was pretty sweet. And
go check out them.
Check out them, yeah.
And Anime Summit, both fantastic podcasts for anime of any level. They both have similar vibes, go into varying depths, and I think they're doing the You're Stuck With It right now on Anime Compost,
right? Where
they pick from a hat, and you have to watch the show whether you like it or not. So, is there anything else?
Jeez, guys, I'm just watching so much anime.
You're just watching so much anime. Well, I think they got a little turnt. I definitely got a little burnt.
Yeah, Mr. Backwards Mike got burnt.
And y'all, for sure, got a little learned. Thanks, y'all, for coming to class. I'm Ricky.
And I'm Ethan.
And this has been Weebology.
Deuces.
Oh, it's still the bad. I'm just kidding.
Bad.